What is going on, everybody? It's nothing but skills, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to get every single exotic from Warlords in New York. All current exotics that are available in Warlords in New York will be in this video. Now that is total of 8, but let's get right into it. So the first exotic we're going to be talking about is the Bullet King. Now this weapon is probably one of my favorite LMGs to use because of the talent it has on there. Bullet hell, this weapon never needs to be reloaded. Now for every 100 bullets that you hit an enemy, it replenishes some ammo to you and your allies' reserve. Yes, a pretty cool weapon to have, and if you guys are looking at getting this one, now the mission that you guys want to farm for this is either the Tombs or Wall Street. Those are both going to be Riker bosses. Now the mission that I got it on and that my friend got it on was on the Tombs, and a lot of people I know have got it on this one. Now this can be done on any difficulty. I had a friend do his on story mode and get it. I did mine on hard and got it, and I have another friend that did it on heroic and got it. So it can drop on any difficulty, but it did drop from the final boss for me. So the final boss on the Tombs ended up dropping this. Now you can try Wall Street. I think you can even try level 4 control points. If you guys can confirm that and then let us know that you guys got it from a level 4 control point, that would help out the people watching this video. But that is how you guys get the Bullet King. Let's dive into our next exotic. So the next exotic we're going to talk about is the new exotic holster. You guys probably remember the old holster, the Gunslinger holster, but now we have a new exotic one, Imperial Dynasty, and this one has a really cool talent. So the exotic holster has a talent called Dragon's Glare. While in combat, it applies burn to an enemy closest to you within 20 meters. Now the cooldown on this is 40 seconds. Now the way this actually works, we're going to take a look at it real quick. I have some gameplay. Whenever you get into combat, that first enemy that's near you, if you look at him, he got on fire, right? So this can happen every 40 seconds. That's what's pretty crazy about it. And the way you know is you see the little burn symbol above their head. It's actually really cool talent. If you look, the guy already started burning. He started burning before I even got to him, and that's what I like about it. And this whole feature of just getting close to him, once you're within those 20 meters, you can catch them on fire. It stuns them. That gives you a chance at destroying that enemy. And look at this one right here. Look, I'm just gonna run up to him. I'm not even gonna shoot. Look, he's burning. He's on fire. And then I start shooting him. It's so sick how this thing works. Check out this one, another one. Not even shooting at him. He's already on fire. And that's why I really like this holster. And I think it could be useful in certain situations, but how do you get it? So let's dive into that. So we have the stranded tanker right here, right? The stranded tanker. This is the mission that you guys want to do. You can do this on whatever difficulty. Now, if you look at the settlement, the haven, to the east of it, we have this mission. This is the mission that you fight on Vivian Colony, and you can do this mission on whatever difficulty. I recommend if you can do it on challenging, do it on challenging, because that gives you the ability to make mistakes. But once you get used to doing the mission, you can run through these pretty quick. And the boss is the one that has a chance of dropping this. Vivian is the only boss that I've heard that's dropped this. So you do have to run through the whole mission. But once you kill her, you just have to hope that when she goes in her mode of screaming, she ends up dropping it. And she did. Look, I was so excited when this happened. I didn't even want to check it because I've been grinding for this. I want to say not too long. I think I did this mission about 10 times and it finally dropped for me. But you remember, exotics are total RNG if you have bad RNG. Now the rolls on this aren't perfect, but I was excited to see it drop. Now some people have said that you can get this holster from any cleaner boss mission, and then even those level 4 control points that have cleaners, you have a chance of getting this holster. Now I cannot confirm that, but that is what is being said. I personally would stick to the missions and farm those, and that'll give you best chance. And I've seen a lot of people get it from Vivian Conley, so ideally, if you want to have a better chance of getting it, I would farm this mission over and over. But that's how you get this exotic holster. Let's dive into our next exotic. The next exotic we're going to get into is the exotic backpack. Now this is the Acosta Go Bag. This is a skill player's dream backpack. It has some pretty cool talents, and we'll go over those really quick. So the Acosta's Go Bag is the new exotic backpack, and how it reads is you never know what you're going to need, so it's best to be prepared. Now, it did come with one skill tier, skill haste, skill damage, and then a utility mod slot, and I'm pretty sure that's how everybody's will run since this is a skill backpack. Now, the talent on this backpack is one hand. Damaging enemies with a grenade grants +1 skill tier for 15 seconds. It grants overcharge if you're already at skill tier 6. So that means your skills are going to be hitting a lot harder if you damage the enemies with a grenade. So that is something that you guys can test out with your skill builds. The backpack also allows you to have 1 extra armor kit, 3 extra grenade capacity, 25% extra ammo capacity. You have 10% repair skills and 10% status effect skills. So where do you get this backpack? How do you farm for the Acosta go bag? Well, there are these faction crates that require keys that are spread throughout the map. There's over, I want to say, probably over 100 different boxes. I'm not 100% on the exact number, but these faction crates, this one was a hyena one, have a chance, a 3% chance of dropping this backpack. And that's going to be the best way for you guys to get this. Now, as you find the location of these keys on your map, right? As you find the location of these keys, if you zoom in Title Update 8, they added a feature where those key box locations will always be on your map. So as soon as you find them on Title Update 8, they will always be on your map. So you never have to really go back and look for, like, oh man, I have to remember where this key location is. No, you can pinpoint it and you'll know exactly where you need to go. Remember, every faction, True Sons, Black Tusk, Hyena Keys, Outcast, all those factions in DC have a chance of dropping this backpack. Now, there is a map that you guys can go to called division2map.com. If you Google it, it'll pop up and it shows you the location of everything in DC. And this map, you can hide everything and it hides everything that's on the map. But then you can go ahead and turn on the safe houses so you can use those as reference points. And then you can go and turn on the boxes, the locked crates. And then these locked crates will pop up all over your map in DC and in the missions. And then you can go close, you can zoom in, you can click on it, and it tells you a little bit more about where the actual crate is located. Now, the great thing about this is you might have to use this the first couple times, but once you start unlocking these all on your crate, those locations will always be on your map from now on. I want to say it took me about 3 days of farming these crates, and finally the backpack dropped for me. I would open up as many as I could until I got bored, so I would do like 10 to 15 crates a day. So I probably opened up over 30 of them. And remember, these do reset at, I want to say it's 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time every day. So if you do it right before reset, you can do it again like 30 minutes later. So if you start like really late, sometimes I play super late. So I get on, I'll play, the reset happens, and I'll go back and do them again. But yeah, these crates all have a chance of dropping that backpack at a 3% drop rate. But that is how you get the Acosta's go bag. Let's get into our next exotic. The next exotic we're gonna be talking about is the exotic chest piece. And how do you get this? And let's talk about the talents before we do. Now, the way that this chest piece works is whenever you or any of your allies' armor breaks, they gain 80% of your armor as bonus armor for 10 seconds. Now, there is a cooldown per ally, 45 seconds, so that means you can only proc this every 45 seconds. But if the player that is wearing this chest piece gets a kill with specialization, it will reset that cooldown. And that resets it for all allies. So the person wearing the chest piece gets a kill with his specialization, that will reset that. This is like having Unbreakable for your whole team without wearing Unbreakable. I do want to show you an example of how it works. Right now you're seeing I am shooting a boss on a heroic mission and some enemies flank me from the side, and look at that, 80% of my armor is back as bonus armor, so it's the blue armor. And those 10 seconds, that's pretty long. That gives you enough time to start shooting some other enemies and then finally get into cover and be perfectly fine. Also, take a look at my teammate in the front. He's actually wearing the piece and he just got his armor shredded. And for teams that run high DPS builds like me, this helps me out a lot because I can stay out of cover a lot longer, not have to worry about ducking into the cover, and still put out a lot of that damage that the team needs to get through these heroic missions. But that 80% armor is probably the best thing for group play. I wouldn't see why a team wouldn't have somebody run this in their team. Now, this one did drop with God Roll armor. It had explosive resistance, and then it also had armor regeneration, plus it had an empty defensive mod slot. And with this type of build that you would run this chest piece, you would want to stack a lot of armor because that would help out your team, right? Because you would technically be the tank. Now, I can confirm that we ended up getting this exotic chest piece from Lincoln Memorial, non-invaded, so we were fighting the True Sons, and those had a chance of dropping this chest piece. And now, since there are 3 True Son bosses at the very end, that's a pretty good drop rate, right? If you have a lot of bosses at the end, you have a chance of getting this more often than not. And if you're running this in a group, you probably have a better chance. So Lincoln Memorial is a really easy mission to farm, so this is probably going to be the fastest way to farm this exotic chest piece. So if you guys are looking at getting this chest piece, if you're looking at adding this chest piece to your build, this is what I would end up doing. I would farm Lincoln Memorial. You have 3 bosses there. Do it in a group, do it on heroic, and run through those missions. But don't forget, you guys can do other True Sons missions. There are a couple other ones like American History Museum that you can farm for this. The reason why I like Lincoln Memorial is because of the 3 bosses. Now, I have heard of people getting this from level 4 control points. I don't know what the drop rate on that is, but from most of the people who I've played with and for myself, this has dropped on Lincoln Memorial or a True Sons mission. So that's how you get this exotic chest piece. Let's dive into our next exotic. So the next exotic we're going to talk about is a DZ exclusive exotic. These are the Ninjabike Messenger knee pads. Yes, these bad boys are in the DZ only, and we'll talk about how you guys can farm these. So what's so cool about these knee pads, right? What makes these knee pads worth it? Well, they have a talent on them where performing a cover-to-cover or vaulting reloads your drawn weapons. And for LMGs, that is amazing. And I'm going to show you a clip of it before we talk about how you guys can get this. So the cool thing about this is you never really have to reload. See, if you look right now, I have about 46 bullets. Once I vault over this, 100 bullets. So it's an instant reload. So having something like an LMG that has a slow reload, and if you don't want to run fast hands, doing a cover-to-cover movement like you saw right there can reload it, and we're already firing. We never have to reload. Now, if you use something like fast hands, I mean, is this talent really good for you? Probably not. But if you plan on using any LMG without fast hands, then this might be actually really good for you. But you do have to be very careful because running and gunning isn't really likely on harder difficulties. Now, you can do some small cover-to-cover movements without having to reload, but the chances of you running around like I'm doing right here in a legendary mission where you're getting beamed from NPCs isn't too likely. But yeah, that's how the talent on these works. But how do you get this bad boy? How do you get these knee pads? Now, to get these knee pads, you need to be farming Dark Zone West, Dark Zone South, and Dark Zone East. These are a DZ exclusive item, so you cannot get these in the open world. Now, another thing you need to remember is these DZ supply drops, these drops are going to have a really good chance of dropping them. Now, I have been told by other people that they've gotten them from the landmarks. So you can farm either the supply drops or you can farm the landmarks for these. But these will only drop in the dark zone. Remember, the Sawyer knee pads, those drop outside of the dark zone, but these will only drop in the dark zone. And you will 100% know when you have a supply drop. You'll get the notification. You'll hear a sound saying dark zone drops incoming. You'll also see on the top of your map, once you pinpoint one, DZ drop contested if somebody's near it, once they're in the area. And that's how you guys will know. And there's going to be a yellow box you need to open. Just like the ones in the open worlds, they have them in the dark zone. But that is where you're more likely to get these knee pads. So once you do open up these crates right here, once you open up these supply drops, you're just get a notification that the item is already going to be in your contamination bag. If you look right here, these guys ended up shooting me and killing me. I didn't even get it. I got a holster, but I ended up killing one of them, and they ended up getting the Ninjabike Messenger knee pads. So you're going to see the item ends up dropping here. One of the rogues I ended up killing that ended up killing me before, he ended up getting it. And that's how I ended up getting my first pair of these knee pads. So it was kind of cool. It was a kind of cool, bittersweet, right? I got killed, then I came out, I killed him, and then I'm getting the knee pads I was farming for. So farm those DZ supply drops, farm those landmarks in the dark zone, and you should have a pretty good chance at knocking this one out. The next exotic we're going to talk about is the Coyote exotic mask. So the Coyote's mask, the exotic mask, can now be found at Jefferson Trade. Now you can do this on normal, on hard, on challenge, on heroic, whatever difficulty you want, and you can turn on the directives if you wish. But it doesn't really matter. All you have to do is head to Jefferson Trade, and the crazy thing about it, the loot location, if it's targeted loot, something else, like right now it was marksman rifle, it will still drop. It doesn't have to worry about, you don't have to worry about it being masked. The chances of it dropping from this are pretty good. Now, when I went through this, I did this about, I want to say 5-10 times, and I ended up getting a mask, and 2 of my teammates ended up getting masked from this boss. And I've seen online Other people have been getting the drop pretty frequently. So if you grind this mission enough, most likely you guys will start getting. The rolls are totally random, so you might have to do it more than once. I got a mask that was just a little bit better than the mask that I had, so it was a little bit better. But overall, I'm going to keep farming to try to get that God Roll Coyote's mask. Now, this exotic, the Lady Death, is probably one of the trickiest, the hardest ones to end up getting. Let's dive into our next exotic. And there's a space in between how often you can kill these bosses, but I'll get into that in just a second. So the Lady Death, this one dropped with 12% SMG damage, 17.5% critical hit chance, and then it had a God Roll 6% damage to armor. Now, the talent that makes this weapon so good is Breathe Free. When moving, gain 4 stacks per second, or 8 stacks if sprinting, up to 40 stacks total. Each round fire consumes a stack, amplifying damage by 60%. Kills grant 20% movement speed for 10 seconds. So you can see how this weapon is actually really good for you run and gunners. The one thing that is a downside to it is that it only has a 32 round mag on. This weapon drops in open world bosses. Well, it can drop anywhere, right? There's a small chance that any exotic can drop anywhere in the world, but the higher chance that most of the people that I know that have gotten this weapon have gotten from open world bosses in New York City. Yes, New York City doing either bounties or doing the open world bosses. Now, one thing you want to remember is these open world bosses are on a timer. Once you kill one, you have to wait 30 minutes for the bosses to spawn. There are over, I want to say, 11 different spawn locations, and I'll show you exact locations right now with a description in each one of those. But each one of those locations will not have a boss for 30 minutes after you find the one boss. So wherever you find your boss, you kill him, you have to wait 30 minutes to find another boss. The first boss I'm going to show you is going to be located in Battery Park. Now, the exact location will be pinpointed right here on your map. Now, this is just west of the Liberty Island mission, and then right here under the Christmas market. So it's in this general vicinity right now. So I'm going to run over there real quick just so you see. I actually ran from the control point waterfront all the way over here, because the waterfront control point isn't that far. So if you run all the way to the middle of the park, almost you just see a bunch of grass, a couple trees. The boss will spawn in this area. You see where there's like that little red flare right there, well, red light. In this general area is where you guys are going to find the boss. And when you do find him, there he goes. So that is the boss right there. So in this general area, the boss likes to patrol with his guys. The one thing to keep in mind is the bosses won't always be the same. I think these are cleaners right here. Sometimes they're Rikers, sometimes they're Black Tusk. They definitely do rotate, so don't expect to see the same exact bosses that I have that you guys get. So it will rotate. Boss number 2 is going to be just to the west of Wall Street mission. So just to the west, if you look, there's like a little triangle right here. You know where our last boss was. To the north of him, there's a little gap right there. This is where you want to go. This is where you're gonna find boss number 2. So right in this general area, this is where you guys will find him. And this time it was Black Tusk. So that was the boss, and it reminded me of Buddy and Lucy. So it was actually one of those mechanical dogs. This is going to be where boss number 2 spawns, and like I told you, the boss may differ. You may not always get the same boss. It just depends on the boss that it gives you. But yeah, look for this empty fountain. You should find the boss sitting in there with some enemies guarding him, and that is boss number 2. So let's get into boss number 3. So the third boss spawn location is going to be located just east of waterfront location. You see where the supply drop activity is? Anytime you see a red activity there, anytime you see an activity period there, you don't want to really go there and look for a boss. I would recommend clearing out the activity and then coming back later. I've had issues where there won't be any spawn at all. So nothing will spawn because you have to clear out the activity. As soon as I clear out the activity, I go somewhere else, I come back, there is a boss there. So remember, the bosses aren't always going to spawn, but I feel like when there's an activity, they have a less chance of spawning. So we're gonna find the boss. Look, as soon as you leave this control point, you head a little bit to the east, you go north, and then you'll see right in this area. If you did the hunter mask, you'll recognize this area, right? So if you did the hunter mask, you will 100% recognize this area, because this area had the flags that you had to raise, and this is where we're gonna fight this boss. Boss spawn location number 4 is gonna be right here at the supply drop. So if you look at this Brooklyn Bridge control point, you come all the way down right here. There is a nice location. I always find a boss here. The only time bosses don't spawn here, like I told you, a lot of times you get propaganda activities there, you get control area there. That's when you won't get. So you need to make sure you clear that and then come back. But as long as there is no mission there, like the supply drop, like I pinpointed, this boss will spawn. This time there was actually 2 bosses. There are 2 different bosses, and that means you have a better chance of getting more exotics, right? So boss number 5, his spawn location will be in these underground tunnels. So this underground tunnel, this is the residential building safe house, and just to the east of it you have the underground tunnel. So all you have to do is go in the tunnels and circle around, and you will find a boss in there hanging out. He spawned in there, I want to say both times I've gone down there and looking for him, he's been down there. He's just been chilling down there. So if you're looking for this boss right here, remember it could be a random, it might not be the same exact boss, but if you're looking for him, he has spawned in underground pretty much every time I've gone. So I have gotten pretty lucky with this boss spawn right here. Boss number 6 spawn location is just northeast of Animal Shelter Safe House, right here, exactly where I'm pinpointing. So you see the Animal Shelter Safe House. If you go just northeast of it, right here, and then he spawns right where you see this little statue is where you are going to find this boss. It's in this general vicinity right here where the statue is. This is where you will find him. Just south of City Hall control point, right here where I'm pinpointing, there is a boss that spawns in this location. So you see the City Hall control point, you want to go south of it, and what you want to do is just go towards the road. There's going to be some roads, different levels, and you want to take the under ramp, and the under ramp road is going to take you directly to where you want to be with him. So once you get to an area that has a bunch of different roads, some going up, some going underneath, you need to go underneath like I'm doing right now. So you have the highway, you're going underneath it, and directly in front of me, right when you go under this passageway right here, he's going to spawn in this general area. So once you see that purple guy, most likely you have him, and my boss was sitting on the top. He was sitting up there. So yeah, that is the boss, and this is where you get boss number 7. Boss number 8 will spawn right here where these components are. If you see where Stranded Tanker is, that mission, there's a components to the left of it. Right here in this general area, all around this area, you can probably find yourself another boss that tends to run around there. So either spawn at that mission or spawn at the control point just north of here and then run towards it. And as you guys get close to it, if you look right now, there's a public execution right where those components are. So right where that public execution is, there is a component. So as I'm running up from the west, right, I'm coming from the west, I noticed they are already fighting. And usually if they are fighting another faction, there's a boss that's tied to that. And if we look around, we're going to see the boss come to the right. It's going to be one of those, another one of those mechanical dogs. And he's going to be right here on the right side, right there. So that's how you guys know. That's usually a good sign. If you see 2 factions fighting, there's usually a boss involved that's leading in the way. So boss number 9, if you go to the Haven safe house, right, the Haven new base of operation, and you go follow this road all the way down, you see where this territory control is? There will be a boss that spawns in that area too. Well, has a chance. And this is the boss that I ended up having spawn there. So there is the 9th boss right there. And for the final boss spawn location, number 10, they're saying that he spawns in this general area right here. Now, I have not had any luck getting him to spawn. And I've tried different things. I've circled the area. I spent about like 3 hours in one session just going for this boss, and nothing ever happened. But I have gotten confirmation that one does spawn in this area. Now, if it's not in this general area here, maybe to the north where that question mark is, I've heard people say a boss spawns there. So there are over, I want to say these are the 10 locations that I know of. There could be more, but these are the ones that have been confirmed, and other people have confirmed them too. But let's dive into the final exotic that we know where it dropped. Now, the final exotic, the Bighorn. Now, this exotic drops on legendary. Yes, I said it, legendary. And the drop rate, I want to say they said is about 5%. 5% chance of this bad boy dropping. So you might not get it after 100 times, but this is where it drops. Now remember, only missions that you can do legendary are the strongholds. You have to make sure that they're not invaded. So Roosevelt Island, what you would do is you would toggle mission mode, and then you would have the ability to go from heroic to legendary. Now you can also do this on District Union Arena. You can do it on legendary, and then you can also do this on Capitol Hill, which you can do on legendary too. So those will be the chances for you guys to get to unlock this one. But that's how you get every single exotic in the Division 2 Warlords of New York. If you guys still have any questions on how to get these, use the comment section down below. Don't forget, if you're new, first time watching any of my videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on notification bell on, so when I release my next Division 2 video, you guys get notified. I appreciate all the support, everybody, but until the next one, nothing but skills out.